So, you should have watched the video about formatting and constructing introductions. For this video, we will be going over how to construct your body paragraphs, starting with your topic sentences. The hardest part about any essay is knowing how to start. This includes starting your introductions as well as starting each body paragraph. Last semester, I noticed a few students had trouble constructing the first sentence in their body paragraph, so I wanted to take some time to just address it. However, before we start everything, please note that although there are exceptions, most body paragraphs that have enough information and analysis are about 3/4 of a page. Usually when they are shorter, there is not enough information, and when it's over a page, there is either too much summary or the paragraphs have too many ideas that can be split up into multiple paragraphs. Anyways, back to topic sentences. The topic sentence is the sentence that covers the main point of that specific paragraph. I would advise you to look back at your thesis. What is the first supporting reason you stated? Mine was, it is a tool that allows people to express their views. My main topic would be about expressing views. For my body paragraph, I would want to contextualize where this idea came from. To contextualize means to give some background information about the idea that I'm presenting. So, the freedom to express views is a well-known American ideology. I might say, since America is a democracy, the right to vote was a key implementation that allowed Americans to express their beliefs. The first part of my sentence was a well-known consensus or idea that led to another idea. It might take 1 to 2 sentences to contextualize this information. After you have done so, you would want to introduce your quote. You should not just drop your quote in your body paragraphs. Instead, you would want to have a transition before your quote. Let's go over what is a transition. A transition is a phrase that comes before your quote, but is within the same sentence as your quote. A transition includes context and a dialogue tag. If the author is not explicitly stated in this phrase, you should cite the author at the end of your quote. This means that you would have your transition, the quote, and then the author's last name in parentheses with a period not inside the quote, but after the parentheses. However, if you explicitly state the author's name in the transition, your period would be inside the quotes, which is shown in the example here. As Ms. Chung emphasizes the need to add transitions to quotes, she states, not including a transition is like showing up without an invite. And it's true. You have to give the reader some warning that what you're about to say is not your own idea. It's a way of introducing the information that you will be responding to later. In the green is the context. The context gives me a general idea of what is occurring in your quote. In the blue is the dialogue tag. She states. The she that is being referred to is Ms. Chung. This little dialogue tag tells me the action that is being taken place. Please note the commas within the sentence. There is a comma after giving context. There is also a comma after the dialogue tag and before the quote. These should be in your paragraphs too. All right, so I briefly touched on what you needed to do if the author wasn't explicitly stated in the transition. This is what it would look like written out. So let's read the first one. According to the article, transitions don't matter. The author suggests transitions are unneeded because they can be explained afterwards. Wilson. By the way, this statement is false and would go in a refutation paragraph so that I can explain why it's wrong. Anyways, it is just supposed to show you how to properly cite something. So, in the green, you have the context or where it came from. Notice how the title of the article is in quotes. This is probably because you will either be using a journal article or a video. If you were referencing a novel, it would be italicized. Also, note how there is a comma before stating the article and after you stated the article. Then, in the blue, you have the dialogue tag. the author suggests, with a comma after that. Then, in the purple, you have the last name of the author or speaker. Notice how it's in parentheses. Notice how the period has switched from inside the quotes to after the citation. This is all for if it was an article that you are citing. If you were citing something like a YouTube video or a TED Talk, your citation would look like the next one. According to the article, transitions don't matter. The author suggests transitions aren't needed because they can be explained afterwards. Wilson. Then you have the timestamps. So, in the transition, I never stated the speaker, so I had to mention the speaker's last name in the citation. However, if I did mention the speaker, I would only need to include the timestamps. The first set of numbers is when the quote begins in the video, then add a dash. After the dash, you add when the quote ends. Yes, you need to cite exactly like this. And yes, even if the quote does not go anywhere near the hour mark, you need to include the zeros. This is an example of what I was referring to before about including the speaker or author's name in the transition. Since I included Anthony Williams in the transition, I did not have to include his last name in the citation. All right, so how do we start transitions? These are some sentence starters for you if you are having trouble. You have as stated by, as mentioned by, as reported by, as believed by, as claimed by, as specified by, and as explained by. You may use any of these in your essay. However, if you have another way to start and it works, by all means, go for it. For example, you can shape these statements to include a little bit more about the general idea of your quote, and if you're not sure, ask. I also included the general structure if you are unsure where to keep going after you have started. Please include your own author and state their position and the source. Here is a list of dialogue tags you can use. It includes the author states, the author suggests, the author believes, the author emphasizes, the author argues, the author claims, the author acknowledges, and the author expresses. You can also replace author for speaker if it's a speaker in a TED Talk or something. I've also included the general structure of what may come after the dialogue tag. Please note that I have not included the part of the transition that includes the context, but that should be included before the dialogue tag. Although you could leave it just as the author states and then go on with your quote, I found that stronger papers tend to have the context included, so let's strive to have a stronger paper. Let's talk about quote length. We like our quotes like we like our lectures, short, focused, and to the point. If there is a long quote that you are thinking about adding to your paragraph, try cutting out the unnecessary parts using an ellipses, which are the 3 dots. This gets rid of the superfluous words while still allowing you to get to the main point of what would be a long quote. A general rule to go by is to keep your quotes under 3 lines in your document. This gives you more room for the explanation of the quote as well as your own response to the quote.